All right, now, according to reports, India has made a proposal for the next informal meeting between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, India has proposed that the meeting be held on the 11th of October in Varanasi, and reports further claim that China is actually considering the proposal pretty seriously and very positively. Now, Varanasi, in fact, was chosen as the venue because the Indian Prime Minister wanted to show President Xi Jinping his own parliamentary constituency in India. Now, President Xi had earlier hosted Narendra Modi, remember, in Xiamen for the BRICS summit. The sub-provincial city of Xiamen is in fact close to the Chinese president's heart, and it was from this place that President Xi had made a mark as an office bearer for the Communist Party. Also in the year 2014, Narendra Modi had hosted Xi Jinping in the capital city of his home state of Gujarat. The Chinese president, of course, reciprocated by hosting Narendra Modi in the capital of his home province, Shanxi, in 2015. Remember, the very first informal summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping took place in 2018. It was held between the 28th till the 29th of April in Wuhan in central China. The two leaders had spent almost about 2 days at a lakeside guest house, and almost about 10 hours of discussions and diplomacy were held. This, of course, was a meeting with no agenda. Remember, it was being held in the aftermath of the very difficult conflict that had in fact been happening at the tri-junction between India, Bhutan and China at Doklam. Now, reports say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of course, wants to reciprocate the hospitality that had been extended to him at Wuhan by Xi Jinping. Now, India's Ministry of External Affairs has said, and I quote the ministry here, during the first informal summit in Wuhan, Chinese President Xi Jinping had accepted the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit India for the next informal summit in 2019. The two sides are presently in touch through diplomatic channels to try and finalize the date and venue for the meeting. Now, the details about the visit will be formally announced in due course after the details are finalized. All right, now for more on this, we are joined in by my colleague Siddhant Sibil, who is joining us over the phone line from New Delhi. Good morning to Siddhant. This, of course, is a very significant development considering the direction in which the India-China relationship is progressing. And ever since resetting ties at Wuhan, it's been in the positive direction.
Well, yes, it's a significant development, and the dates are still to be announced. But one thing is confirmed, that it is going to take place in the later half of the year, expectedly in October, though officially both sides haven't announced. We also know that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President will be face-to-face, and of course they are likely to meet also on the sidelines of the SCO summit that will take place in Kyrgyzstan in the second week of June. We know that India and China, since the famous Wuhan summit, the informal Wuhan summit, have been trying to recalibrate the relationship, reset the ties, making sure that differences don't become disputes. And that is why both the sides have been taking concerted efforts to make sure that as neighbors, they work together so that not only they grow, but also Asian region grows. Remember, the Chinese President Xi Jinping was one of the first leaders to send a letter to the Prime Minister-elect Narendra Modi on 23rd, in which he said that he would like to work with him. And even before that, we saw the last official meeting between the External Affairs Minister and any foreign leader was in Kyrgyzstan, when she met the Foreign Minister of China, during which the Chinese Foreign Minister had told Sushma Swaraj that they would like to work with the new government, and immediately we saw the letter coming. So by and large, we know that both the countries would like to work and to make sure that both progress together in a century which is now known as the Asian century.
Absolutely, indeed. And also considering the fact that in Wuhan, the informal summit took place in the backdrop of what had unfolded at Doklam. But here in 2019, it is China that's in fact under pressure due to the trade war that's been declared by the United States and China. Do you think China will now be making more concerted efforts to try and build the trade relationship with India?
That's another angle to the entire story between India and China. Of course, the global geopolitics that's going around. China, of course, is under the American pressure. It has been facing the wrath of U.S. President Donald Trump, and it would like to have India by its side, and that is why China itself will be keen to engage with India. We know how the listing of Masood Azhar, the chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed, the mastermind of the Pulwama attack, was prevented first for being listed at the United Nations as an international terrorist, but later on China immediately removed that hold and allowed the listing of Masood Azhar. So China would also like to see New Delhi besides it, though in South Asia it has a different geopolitics. It has to be with Pakistan also, but Pakistan seems to have become a liability for China because its support to terrorism.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us and getting us the latest. We'll, of course, be tracking these developments as they unfold. So there is yet another Modi-Xi informal meet that is on the cards. This time round, the venue is most likely to be Varanasi, although it has not been formally confirmed by the Ministry of External Affairs. We shall await the information that shall come through on this story.